even know that they're lost. They are lost without knowing it. They're in the dark and they don't even realize it.
Well, it said here that the type of room stock that should be built is for the 5-star, you know, so that you can encourage, you can attract the airlines, high-end airlines,
right.
and
the point is,
persons with six-figure.
If you want to do that, then first you have to have a marketing plan. If you don't have a proper marketing plan, you will have your 5-star rooms and they will be empty. Look at Bahamas, a multi-billion-dollar investment that is a ghost town. It's never gotten off the ground. It's never opened its doors. Not a single visitor. Because of the internal problems between the investors. The Chinese investors pulled out and they're at war with the UK investors along with the businessman who, you know, came up with the idea in the first place. So the point is, it's no sense having the facility and the infrastructure if you don't have a marketing plan to ensure that you can fill those rooms. And Tobago does not even have a marketing plan. So all they're talking is pie in the sky. Which 5-star resort will want to come to Tobago if you don't even have visitors to fill the rooms you have? Think of it. Why would they even want to make that kind of investment? You ought to have an overflow of visitors where people can't get rooms, and then you say, aha, you know what? I need to build more rooms. That's what business sense is about. You ensure that you have the demand, and then you make sure you can now build out capacity to satisfy the demand, but you don't even have the demand.
Okay, and we're still talking about the resurgence of or growth of economic activity in Tobago. And coming to mind, I always like to reiterate this, because when something is good for Tobago, it doesn't matter to me which politician, who party.
That's right.
And
That's
I think
right.
The politicians should recognize that. I saw a story on the papers last week, a speech by Mr. Hochoy Charles from 1999, I think, addressing this same situation that we are in today, and preferring some economic solutions, you know.
So that's from 17 years ago.
From 17 years ago. And, you know, I read it, I thought I had it here. I read it and I shook my head and I said, if some of these, at least half of these would done implemented in the 17 years, we would have been in a different position, because Tobago would have had its bottled water factory, that the billions of dollars everybody drinking water now. Opening of roads, that Mason Hall to Mount St. George Road, opening the Midlands there so that people can go to their farms and to their lands to access.
But listen, Eddie, let me tell you, you know, when you talk of plans and ideas for developing Tobago, you have so many opportunities and avenues. They were speaking recently of trying to develop a university in Tobago. And I'm asking myself, so what type of university are you talking about? You know, you could not be talking about a generalized university trying to offer, you know, sciences, math, you know, social study, those kinds of things, because then you are competing, first of all, with the University of the West Indies. You could never match them now in that sense. So the only thing that makes sense to me is if you develop a university specializing in hospitality and tourism training. That is something that is needed within the region. Okay, because right now, apart from Bahamas, you really don't have anybody specializing in that. That will be a boost, first of all, to your tourism sector, because you will have students coming from all over the Caribbean to train in Tobago. You bring in the best, the brightest. You have top chefs who will be able to train people. You have top administrators in the tourism industry. You would have executives like, say, for instance, persons from Sandals Resort who will come to give, you know, guest lectures to show and teach people how the product is branded, how it's marketed internationally. You look at Sandals. Imagine Sandals is a Jamaican brand. A Jamaican brand. But that has international 5-diamond recognition all over the world. Standards has that. So they're not just talking stars. They're into diamonds. That's the recognition Standards has, and that's a Jamaican brand. So if they can do it, why is it that we cannot understand what tourism is about? Tourism is about an experience. You must give your visitor such a pleasant, enjoyable experience from start to finish that they're happy to spend their money and they want to come back again and spend more money, and they will tell all their friends, come here and spend your money. That's what tourism is about. If you don't have proper service, if you go to a restaurant in Tobago and the waitress is grumpy, they're sour, they're unprofessional, they're behaving as if, well, you know, they don't really want to be here, but somebody's forcing them because they need a job, they need the money, then that's not the kind of attitude that you need. You want to go to a restaurant where the waitress is attentive, she's engaging, she's happy to serve you, you know, she's pleasant, and you know, even they don't even realize that type of service is what will generate a bigger tip from the customer than if you are grumpy and sour and you have an awful attitude. Who wants to tip and reward that kind of service? So we need to start the fundamentals. We need to develop a quality of service excellence in Tobago. But the point is, it must start from the top. But our leaders don't even know this. They themselves are not delivering any excellent service. So how could they even begin to teach people how to do it?
Okay, Mr. George, the last topic I want to deal with is the study park quarry, and you know, how can economic activity be revived there or be put in such a way that it can become an industry?
Well, the point is, if it is that you have the means, of course,
having the port at Mount St. George, having a pier at Mount St. George that we saw years ago, where tons of stones from the quarry were carried to other places.
And exported. Right. Well, the thing is, as I say, if you have the resource, the first thing you have to look at is the quantity of your available resource. I guess the minister responsible would be able to tell us what exactly the Studley Park quarry is capable of producing. But I would say, first of all, you look local in terms of ensuring that your supply locally is met fully from there. So you ensure that your crushing plant is up to scale, and then once you recognize you have sufficient excess, then you could look at exporting it. But of course, you then have to consider and factor in your transport costs for the export and whether it's going to be viable in that means. But even if it means supplying all the needs of Tobago, then that, I think, would be a big benefit for us.
Well, my understanding was that's why the port was placed there at Mount St. George, close to the quarry, as stones throw away.
For export purposes.
For export.
Yeah, well, as I say,
purposes.
once it's viable, then these are things that we need to look at. We need to look at our potential. Let me tell you, I will never stop believing in Tobago because of the people. I'll tell you, Tobagonians, we have the potential, we have the capability. We have proven it repeatedly. We can produce the best and the brightest. We produce a Chief Justice, we produce a President, we produce governors of central banks, we produce world-class people. So we have that ability, right? So therefore, it's a matter of us harnessing that potential, tapping into it, and having good, effective leadership that knows where it's going and can guide the people to the promised land. But all we get presently is a land of empty promises.
Okay, Mr. George, I want to thank you so much for discourse this morning and invite you to come again when you have the time.
Sure,
you have the time.
You know,
it's like pulling teeth now to get you, but it's a pleasure chatting with you.
Thanks a lot. Have a good morning.
What's the benefit for 10?